Folks, a little college football time with the great Johnny Canzano. John Canzano joins us. JohnCanzano.com. His weekly appearance brought to you by Zeke's Pizza. Best selection of pizzas, local Northwest craft beers. JohnCanzano.com. He's pushing out articles left and right. We got the radio show, The Bald-Faced Truth, down there in Portland, Oregon, 750 The Game, and he joins us every single Tuesday. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad you're giving people Christmas off. That's nice of you.
Well, I forgot. You know what? Yeah.
Awful kind of you.
Yeah. Well, next week. Hey, that's right. Next week's Christmas Eve. You better be here. Well, it sneaks up on you, doesn't it? Sneak up on everybody. I haven't even shopped for gifts yet.
And people are freaking out there. And maybe the sole purpose of this appearance here is to mellow out the audience. But I happened to be out at a couple of these shopping malls over the weekend, and I saw you out there. You're losing your marbles. Oh. You're already stressing out. You're fighting over parking spots. Oh. I'm trying to back out of a parking spot, Puck, and there's a nice lady with her blinker on waiting to get in. And as I'm trying to back out, I can't back out because 2 or 3 other impatient cars are buzzing by.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't get that one. Stop. Let's just remember what Christmas is supposed to be about. And take a chill pill, people.
Yeah, drinking and eating heavily.
That's right.
That's what Christmas is all about. All right.
Damn it.
That's what it's all about. And shopping on Amazon.
Yeah, underrated.
That's the best way. That's the best. That is honestly the only way to do it nowadays. It's just shopping online.
But you have to go out there at least once. Just don't have that forlorn look in your eye on Christmas Eve as you are wandering around the mall with no answer. Okay.
God, what do I get? And then you start shopping at those little kiosks in the middle of the mall where they got all the junk. You're like, oh, maybe she'll like that.
You're done.
She needs a cell phone protector. Well, let's get that. That's a great stocking stuffer. I put lottery tickets in all my all the stockings. That's the best. Yeah,
giving around potential for millions there.
Yeah. What I wanted was John Mateer to come back.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted for Christmas. Instead, not coming back.
You needed about $3 million, it looks like, to get Mateer back. I mean, look, nobody's mad at John Mateer. These Washington State donors, I talked to a couple of the big donors of the Cougar Collective, and they were really torn over the weekend because, they met twice. They presented to him last week at the football offices. They felt like they made an offer that was at least going to make him think. He goes home for his sister's graduation. And obviously, Ben Arbuckle is coordinators at Oklahoma. I had heard $1.5 million was what the Cougar Collective thought they were up against. So they were trying to get as close to $1 million as possible to give him something to think about. And $1.5 million, I think, was Auburn. But I think Auburn's even going to get outbid here. There's supposedly $2 or $3 million out there for Mateer, and the system's off its rails. Everybody is mad at the system. They're not mad at Mateer. They're looking at the portal. Dickert's saying, well, maybe we need to not pay attention to the rules like everybody else. And then meanwhile, you've got a senator, U.S. senator in the state of Washington, Mike Baumgartner, is just elected in this last November election. He's already being put on committees where they're going to start talking about antitrust. They're going to start talking about whether or not Congress needs to step in to the college game like it has stepped in with the NFL, Major League Baseball, and others.
Well, it needs regulation. It needs rules. There are no rules.
Yeah.
There's no other sport in America that operates like this.
Yeah.
Nobody else does this, but they're allowed to operate with absolutely no rules, unlimited free agency, tampering, and no salary cap.
Yeah, you're on a freeway right now with no speed limit, okay? And so you're only limited by the vehicle you're driving in. And and I think this is a narrow window. I do think Congress is going to step in. I think they're going to say, hey, if you want an antitrust exemption, here are the things you need to do. And it needs to start with athletes unionizing. Now you can negotiate against the Players Association with the portal and with revenue sharing and putting caps on things that will help the other schools that can't write a $3 million check to get a QB.
Yeah, that's and it's and then all the news comes out, and I know the fan base. I know the fan base at Washington State is torn on it.
Right,
it's torn. Just the that wishes him the best, but also is tired of 2 straight years. You have a quarterback that now, who was under-recruited, jumps in the portal, now is going to go to a bigger school. I mean, listen, I'm going to be stunned and completely floored if he doesn't go to Oklahoma. I think the Oklahoma deal has been done for a month.
Probably.
That's my feeling.
Yeah, and Washington State's boosters may have just upped the money that John Mateer is going to get from Oklahoma. I mean, that may have been what happened over the weekend and last week. But, the Washington State donors, you hit on it. I mean, I was hearing from them, hey, they feel like they have a personal relationship with the kid. They want him to do well. They know there's life-changing money out there. But gosh, they wish he really would have stayed. It's just this terrible position that you're in as a donor. And look at the Heisman, finalists, Puck. I mean, Dylan Gabriel, multiple schools. Travis Hunter, he was at another school and transferred to Colorado. You've got everybody but Ashton Genty. Cam Ward, 3 schools. Everybody but Ashton Genty was someone else's player before they got to the Heisman finals. And you look at the top 10, Cam Scattaboo was at Sacramento State. You go down the list, it's just Ashton Genty. He's the outlier. And he comes from a military family. And his mom says, our word is our bond. And they took less money to stay at Boise State. But man, Ashton Genty could have ended up at Oregon or Georgia, and he'd have made $2 million.
And it's just, I sat back and I was hoping that Mateer was watching when he was on stage. And Holly Rowe was interviewing that family. And I'm looking at those 2 parents, and I wanted to go through the TV and hug those 2 parents. Yeah. And just be like, that's how you do it. That's how you raise a kid. That's how it should be done. Obviously, he did get money, but I don't know. I was really, really impressed with both of the parents, and just impressed with the message, and good for Ashton Genty. He is he's a rare bird, man, in this day and age of college football. And it just it's disappointing. I sat down with some of these Cougar great quarterbacks last week, interviewed them all: Jack Thompson, Alex Brink, Jason Gesser, Luke Falk, Connor Halliday. And one thing they all agreed at the very, what was one of the biggest themes was, this guy can be the best quarterback that's ever stepped foot on this campus. Yeah. And his lasting legacy would be, I could have left, but I did not. And obviously there's so much uncertainty with where that program is at, and that he would be revered more than any other quarterback. And I'm not saying that should be all on John Mateer's shoulders. And I know money is so important. And I agree with you. I'm not mad at John Mateer. I can't be. I mean, that would be selfish to be mad at him. It's his life. It's not my life. And and for fans to be mad at him, it's his decision. You got to be mad at the system and where it's at that allows this to take place. But I think where you can be mad, maybe not at Mateer and more mad at the system, a personal message, right, or a team chat photo gets leaked out. Someone on that team leaked it out. A screenshot of him sending a team message of making the decision. This is where there needs to be oversight, because in that team message, this is on Sunday night. He doesn't go into the portal till Monday. It says, I've got to take one of the offers that are being thrown at me. Yeah. That's tampering. Yeah. And I don't know, where is the NCAA in all this? Is there anyone in charge?
No. Okay. I walked by the NCAA offices when I was in Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship game. The lights are off, man. And, it doesn't look like there's a lot. I made a joke. I put it on Instagram and I said, hey, this is the hub of college athletics. I roll. Look, no, they're so afraid. They're afraid of litigation, right? They're facing existential crisis type litigation, and there's more to come. The ADs and the presidents know that this will not be the end. This House versus the NCAA thing is not going to be the last lawsuit. And so everybody's afraid to make a move that inhibits any of the earning capacity of the players. And it's why I do think you're going to see Congress step in. They're going to say there's an antitrust issue here. There's a competitive imbalance. Obviously, this is a free market, but you're not supposed to be able to infringe upon another conference's or another school's right to an opportunity to go earn and be a business. And so that's what's happening. There's widespread tampering between the schools, and between the conferences, and there's no czar of college football. The NCAA has no teeth. And so you have no ability to regulate any of this. And, Mateer told me a couple of weeks ago, he said he didn't have an agent, and he said there's a lot of noise, and he says he's just trying to focus on the football. And I can't help, Puck, but think that Washington State's best chance to keep him wasn't just the collective. It was maybe getting to the playoff and showing him that you could get to the playoff. And the way the team finished, I think, may have ultimately sunk Washington State.
The problem with him not having an agent, and I think it was like a family friend that was helping him, that lies the problem. I mean, there are rumors swirling that this has been going on for a month, more than a month, about the flirtation with Oklahoma. Obviously, Ben Arbuckle just didn't once the season went over, hey, OU, I'm coming. Yep. And same with the running backs coach who went to Utah, a few days after signing day. And again, we criticize these kids, but then they learn it from these adults, right? Sure. It's the old 1980s drug commercial. I learned it by watching you. Where'd you learn how to do this? I learned it by watching you, Dad. Yeah. Dad getting high off the grass in the garage. But and I can't help but think that if he's the one that's handling this, Mateer and his buddy, how are you not distracted? I think it warrants a discussion that was part of the late season collapse. It's not like he didn't play great. There was games that certainly he was not the problem. It was the defense problem. Wyoming game, though, he was terrible. It was awful in the Wyoming game. How does this stuff not wear on you?
Yeah, it does. And, here he's a guy who, he had majored in finance or econ because he wanted to be prepared to manage money. And he told me he really wasn't learning what he needed in those classes to deal with what he was dealing with people coming at him. And so, there's a big problem. I think it'll get back on the rails, but I think there's going to it's the Wild West right now, obviously, for the next couple of seasons until somebody steps in and does something.
Well, I can't wait for it. And then there's this other story. There's an offensive tackle at Washington State, right tackle Fa'alili Fa'amoe, who yesterday Jake Dickert comes out, and Brock Dew who is an offensive lineman for the Cougars. They both speak yesterday after practice. Yeah. So about 11:15, 11:20. Jake Dickert's asked, hey, Mateer's gone. Do you expect anybody else, to be gone? He goes, no, everyone that's here is here. And said they've practiced and we expect them to be here. Brock Dew's talking about, someone asked him a question about, hey, how was exciting? Because the collective has been posting pictures of people and basically insinuating that these guys are all coming back, right? And Brock Dew's asked, how cool is it? There's a bunch of pictures out there that your entire offensive line or the majority of you guys are all coming back who are eligible to come back. It's great. It's awesome. Great group of guys. We hang out all the time. Special group. It's awesome. Well, 2 hours later, this guy's in the portal. Yeah. He practiced with the team. He's in the portal. And then a story comes out from Coug Fan, which is just a team. For people who don't know, I'm sure people do. It's just a team website. Well, not a team website, but a fan website covering for the team. Every school's got it. And Barry Bolton, who is the reporter, had a note in there which I've confirmed from others, that I didn't hear about this story. I didn't know about this, that the rumors all around in Pullman were that the agent for the tackle was considering having him sit out games because he wasn't being paid enough and that he was a pain in the ass. And then now this guy's in the portal. And I would just say, that's a hell of a teammate, man. Hell of a teammate to sit there and tell your coaching staff and your teammates, hey, I'm in, I'm all in. And then 2 hours later, you're out.
Yeah. Well, get this. I mean, the clock, there's a number of problems. One of them being that it's the Wild West. The other is the calendar that the NCAA has set up for this portal window opening on the 9th of December. You've got 7 players at Tennessee who have jumped into the portal. They're in the playoffs. Everybody's saying, well, they're not starters. Penn State had a player jump in the portal. Well, they're not starters. No, but you look at the stat box and you look, these guys are playing. There's a depth issue here that is going to be created for the playoff. And as you start to look at these games, I think we're going to see more and more of this. It's backups, it's second and third stringers. I'm sure Oregon's got them as well. They've got a number of their position groups that just are so deep that there are guys who are never going to see the field, and they're probably looking, out for themselves and their future. And it's a bad situation. And the agents, I've talked to a couple of these agents. Some of them are scumbags. They don't have any real experience with like the NFL or, professional football, and they're like MMA agents who are now dabbling in college football. These jokers are out there telling the players, I can get you XYZ. And I don't know that they're telling a lie or the truth, but it's problematic.
How bad would you be? Like you mentioned Tennessee. I know big storyline yesterday's now everyone is like the outrage because is it the backup quarterback for Penn State?
Yeah.
He's in the portal. If I were a teammate of that kid at Penn State, I think what did we used to do back in the day? Did we stone people? Did we do that? Or tar and feather?
I wasn't around for those days, but
tar and feather.
Yeah.
Did we do that? That's what Full Metal Jacket is what I would do to that kid.
You'd go Full Metal Jacket on him?
I would. I'd be get the F out of here.
Yeah, and he's a guy, like people say, oh, he's the backup. What happened
to the starter? He gets knocked out in their playoff game.
This guy played in the Big Ten championship game, and he had a run against Oregon that was a nice play for Penn State. It hurts Penn State.
Absolute worst. That is the absolute worst. I would sniff that guy if I were a head coach because that kid is a quitter. Yeah. That kid's a quitter.
You look, I don't know what you do with your kid, but like if our kids want to play pickleball or volleyball or soccer, once they start it, they finish it. And they have come to us a couple of times and we've gone, nope, you will see the end of this season. So, I lose respect for the players because, they could see this thing through. The NCAA would argue and the coaches will argue that, hey, we got to get them enrolled in their new school. Classes start January 6th on our campus. There's, make an exception for athletes. Say, hey, as long as they're there by January 1, you can get them in there. But the fact that these players are jumping now it's stupid.
Well, that takes us there. How do we fix it? There's two windows open right now, right? We're in it. As we speak, and it ends December 28th. And then we get another window that's in the spring. We've got unlimited now transfers. You can transfer as many times as you want. They changed that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You're watching guys. There are players at Washington State are going on their third school. So, yeah.
Yeah. Commitment.
Yeah.
And you got the graduate transfer still. I mean, you whatever. You can just transfer as much as you want. You mentioned something there that's intriguing to me. What would you do to fix it? I was just texting earlier this morning with Brandon Huffman. I'm sure you've had Brandon on your show.
Yeah, I like Brandon.
24/7 Sports. Brandon's the best. And I just said, what would you do? How would you fix it? He goes, well, it's hard because of what you brought up. It's so difficult because these guys need to start school. And he brought up something that was really, really, I thought, interesting, because I think it's something that people don't think about when it comes to this, because all we think about are the players entering the portal.
Yeah.
He goes, the one thing that coaches have to guard against when it comes to eliminating one of these portals, especially the winter one, is because they don't want some of the kids on the team. They're trying to get them to go into the portal because they don't want them anymore.
It's true.
How do you solve it? What do you have any ideas how you would do it?
Yeah, let's start with dropping the term student athlete. Okay, it's a farce. It means nothing. We all roll our eyes at it. The only reason the ADs say it is because they've been instructed by the NCAA to use student athlete, because if they get into potential litigation, they can always fall back on the fact, well, they were just students who were playing football. Let's lose the term student athlete. Let's recognize that athletes are different than regular students on the campus. They already get priority registration. They already get access to the tutoring center, the athletic tutoring center. They get benefits that other students don't get on campus. They're not like other students. We all know this. So why are we holding them to a registration process that is for other students? Let's create a lane for the athletes on campuses where, hey, you can join your classes day before we can get you registered. We're going to leave room in X number of classes. We'll get you into school. We'll get you registered. You're not like the others. So why are we saying you have to be, they need to be free in early December because they need to get ready for that January 6th, first day of school? No, move that back. Let's also then talk about, you got that additional lane now open. Let's move the season a couple weeks earlier. Now we've created an opportunity for the bowl season and the college football playoff to be played without a bunch of people jumping into the portal. And then the NCAA's got to come in and say, no tampering, and we're not going to penalize the athletes. We're going to penalize the schools. If your donors or boosters are in contact and we can prove it, we're going to penalize the schools. Start by doing that. And I think you'll solve some of this, but ultimately Congress needs to come in. The athletes need to be able to negotiate as a union, and the schools need to be able to say, hey, we're going to eliminate one of the windows. Here's where we're putting the window. You're free to transfer. But I just don't like the ambiguity and the illusion that these are students. They're not. Like, as long as they're there, enroll them late, put them in different classes, create some classes that are just for athletes that are being, onboarded, that you can get them in on January 7th and no problem, and then they can start school that next week. But the fact that the playoff is going to go on with a bunch of players going, hey, I can't play for my team because I need to get in the portal and I need to get to my new school is ridiculous.
It's called general studies. That's what you can do.
Yeah, just create it. Create some extra classes.
So would you do away with this first one, the December one, and just have a spring one? No,
I don't like the spring one because I think the spring one creates a lot of problems for coaches who don't know what their roster is going to be. And if you're a have in college football, the spring one's great. Like Oregon can go out and Ohio State can go out and they can shop for a need. Hey, we got a guy who got hurt early in the spring. We're going to need a backup right guard. What do they turn? They turn to the G5 schools and they go, who's out there that we can throw a little money at in the spring? Or if you're Miami and you need Damian Martinez, you go shopping for him at Oregon State late in the spring portal window. And so I think it's a huge disadvantage. Trent Bray, the coach at Oregon State, told me, he said he didn't even know who was going to be on his roster. He thought his running back room was deep. By the end of the spring portal window, he was like, crap, and too late. Yeah. You can't go out and recruit somebody else. So I'm getting rid of the spring window. I'm going to move that December window back so that it opens after the bowl season, after the college football playoff. And then let's get, we'll get into, January 7th. Maybe that window closes.
But allow, so push it after the bowl playoffs, but then allow them to go to a school and make up the classes and enroll late.
Enroll late. I mean, any college, every college out there gives priority registration for upperclassmen, right? So if you're a junior or senior, you need an upper division course. You have access to those classes before the rest of the student body because they want you to be able to graduate. Athletes get the same damn thing because they have to work around practice time or whatever. The athletes are the first to register. So hold some spots in some general coursework classes, or even be able, talk to the players and say, look, we're going to create classes. Your first semester, you're not really going to get stuff that gets you moving towards a college degree, but we're going to put you in some classes that we create and have that first term just be about onboarding them and not about the illusion that these guys are studying because they're taking yoga and sign language, Puck. That's what they're taking. So create yoga and sign language as a major.
Hey, not a bad choice.
They're not even going to class. I've talked to so many of these players and I say, what's your favorite class? And they go, well, I'm taking everything online and I'm taking yoga and sign language online. Where do I sign up?
Hey, to be fair, I took 3 different golf classes.
It's fine. Online?
Well, no, you can't. No, I
swinging in your living room.
Yeah, I actually went there, and then I took a billiards class.
Look,
there as well.
Hey, look, I played community college football, college baseball, low level. Okay, I had a class called sports officiating at my community college. I never went to it. It's called sports officiating. I got an A. It's on my transcript.
Hey.
The teacher was the offensive coordinator on the football team.
Well,
he says Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We don't meet Monday and Wednesday, and Friday's optional. So, that's how it went. I can't imagine what they're doing now. I mean, come on, let's be real.
And then they've got all these people. I mean, I think people have seen it. There was the documentary, was it Netflix that did the community college one, the powerhouse community college football team.
Yeah.
And they you saw the behind the scenes.
Oh.
They have an army. I mean, especially the bigger schools, but all the schools have an army of students and advisors that literally do the homework for them.
Yeah.
All of them.
Let's drop the illusion that the school part of this is what's holding up the portal.
Yeah.
That there needs to be a reconciliation there that, like, hey, you know what? Yoga, sign language, sports officiating, those courses we're going to create new entries. The head coach and the assistants will be the teachers. We'll onboard the students so that they are technically enrolled.
Yeah, just do like real life, like football stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? A course on how to deal with the media. Yeah. A course on how to throw your teammates under the bus through the media.
There you go. Wouldn't that be beneficial? Like, what if you had a sports agent teaching a class?
I think it'd be great.
And what if you had you did a media class on media training and how to deal with social media,
how not to waste your money.
Yeah. Yep.
All that kind of stuff. How to keep, your side piece away from your girlfriend. And
I was gonna say, like, Travis, we'll get on that Travis Hunter bandwagon later.
What do you want to Travis? Well, hey, what's the whole thing with his girlfriend? Why are people why is she getting all this online hate? I haven't followed it.
I think people see some unhealthy behavior, maybe mildly, in that relationship, but here's the reality of it. Like, let's go back and think about the relationships that we were all in at age 20, and let's put the spotlight on them and put it all over social media and have, he's at the Heisman thing, and people are, I feel bad in some respect for them because they're not going to get to have like a normal relationship. And it's why you see weirdness, like with these celebrity, dating and marriage.
Is she a celebrity?
She by extension, she's all over his social media. She's always there next to him. Now, I'd have some advice for him. He needs to talk to some people, but it's why Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce work, is because they both understand the pressure and the complication and the scrutiny that comes with being in the public eye.
People are coming after for what reason? I'm honestly, I'm just
because
asking.
After the Illinois game, he went and he was pointing up at the stands, and she was apparently mad at him for she thought he was pointing at the cheerleaders, and so it was kind of this insecure, immature 20-year-old relationship moment that was on display. That's one of them. And she didn't stand at the Heisman thing. I mean, people are nitpicking it like crazy, but I'm looking at it, I'm just going, oh my gosh. The scrutiny that would be under. Grab any 20, 21-year-old and let's put their relationship out there and see what people
she didn't
think.
Stand when he won?
When he won, she didn't immediately stand. Coach Prime reached over and kind of helped her up. And then she's trying to help her cause. And she keeps popping up in my algorithm, okay? Forgive me. But she's trying to help her cause. But her latest thing is that she has come out and said, when they were first dating, she would go to parties and Travis would take her to the party with her friends, and then he'd park outside and wait in the car while she was inside the party for a couple hours, having the time of her life. And then she's trying to say he's such a good guy and he really loves me and whatnot. But there's this air of possessiveness about the whole thing that is making us all squirm a little bit.
I'm usually on top of this stuff. And I feel like, why do you know more about this than I do? Because in the chat, everyone's telling me everything. She won't sign a prenup. Apparently she's pregnant with this kid. Now you know what I'm going to do after we're over here and I'm done doing the show today?
You're going to go down that rabbit hole.
All I'm going to look at today is this Travis Hunter story. Yeah. That's all I'm going to look at. Okay. Here's what I didn't like from the Heisman. And I'm going to nitpick on something. I didn't need Dion up on stage and I didn't need Shedeur Sanders on stage. You know who I needed? His mom.
Yeah.
Because his mom, who does the interview afterwards with Holly Rowe, was exceptional. She was unbelievable.
Except for the part where she said he was a mistake.
Oh, well, yeah, there was
that part. That was a little bit of
that was cringy.
Someone needed to talk to her and be like, that's not how you. I just felt I've interviewed Travis one time one-on-one. Okay.
And
it was 2 years ago, Pac-12 Media Day in Vegas. Fantastic person.
Seems
Great conversation, down to earth, nice kid, interesting. More, there's a little immaturity to him, but it was charming. It wasn't bad immaturity. And so he's easy to root for. But in seeing his mom and then seeing this relationship that is blossoming around him, I worry about him. I think he's going off to the NFL and he's going to have real money. And I think he's going to be under the spotlight. It's going to. I hope he handles it well. I hope he's got some strong people in his circle.
Yeah, let's hope so. All right, the Washington, Oregon, apparently, and I hope he's watching because he's my good friend Jordan Reffett, already complaining and setting up all the excuses for next season why Washington won't win because the big bad Big Ten. They were mean. They're meanies against us, and they have set us up to fail for our schedule next season. They got any? Are their gripes warranted? What the Big Ten did to both Washington and Oregon?
Anybody who is belly aching about Washington and Oregon and the geography of their schedule failed geography in elementary school. There are 18 schools. 18 schools in the Big Ten. Look at the map. Get out a map. Put out a map and look at where the schools are located. 4 are on the left side of your map. The other 14 are over way to the right. Okay. It's not middle of the country. It's right of center. That's where the Big Ten Conference is located. That's where Indianapolis is. That's where, you're going to see Ohio State and Penn State and Rutgers, and they're all over to the right. That means if you're going to play them, you've got to travel to them to play. This is not a surprise. Like, this is about as ridiculous to me. The Oregon fans are doing it too. They're complaining about the schedule. First came out, they said 12-0. Within about 2 hours, they were going, look at how this is stacked against us with the geography. It's the same complaint that I heard when the Friday night schedule came out, Puck, this last season. Mm-hmm. What did Oregon and Washington think? They were going to get to play at noon on Saturday every day on Fox?
Yes, they did. No, John, they did. That's what they thought. They because again, I say this respectfully, that's the arrogance of both these of these two schools and these fan bases. It's an arrogance to them that they think that they were going to walk right in and be like, "We're here now. Well, give us your women and your food."
Yeah, you had that standing in the Pac-12. You had it, but you're going into the Big Ten. That's Michigan and Ohio State. That's why Michigan's not playing on a Friday night and Ohio State's not playing on a Friday night because they're going to take care of those schools. They always will. You will never be one of them. Oregon was in Indianapolis. Oregon has crashed the party. Like, if you think about the 4 schools that came into the Big Ten, 3 of them came in like lambs. Okay. Oregon came in like a lion, right? Oregon came in, won the damn thing. They're in Indianapolis. I'm talking to Penn State fans and maybe some Ohio State fans and some of the reporters who cover the Big Ten all the time. And they're already kind of expressing a little bit of disgust for Oregon coming in, Oregon, the NIL budget. Just wait. I mean, I don't think it's going to take very long for the rest of the Big Ten to kind of turn on Oregon in particular. But if you're Washington, unless you can win football games, all you're going to be is you're going to be a time slot. Like USC and UCLA right now, you're a time slot in the Pacific time zone that the Big Ten is sold to Fox. That is your standing in the conference. And Oregon is the same way. Even though Oregon won the thing, I think they expected they were going to be treated like Michigan when the schedule came out. Nope, you got to go to Iowa. Nope, you got to go. You're going to have to travel to go play some football games. You're not even Kirby Smart at Georgia. Everybody complains, but you're not Alabama yet. You're Oregon. You're Washington.
Just what did they expect was going to happen? That's what I don't understand. Like
geography.
And the other thing too, it's if you really peel back the schedule, it's not this because the complaint is all the buys, right?
Right.
It really is one game. It's the Maryland game.
Yeah,
it's the Maryland game after playing Ohio State. Then the Maryland has a bye.
Yeah,
the opponent has the 2 games at home, Illinois and who's the other one? Somebody terrible. Yeah. I mean, if you can't beat 2 terrible teams of the Big Ten at home and they're coming off buys. That's the issue. It's not the issue. It's not them coming off buys.
It's the buy combined with their traveling. And so the Washington and Oregon fans are mad that they are traveling after playing a game to play a team who is sitting home after a bye. Guess what? You're not Michigan. You're not Ohio State. You have the geography. It was the same way in the Pac-12, right? You had teams that were sitting. You had to play sometimes on a Friday night. Your life has not changed. The geography changed.
Yeah, it's Rutgers in Illinois that they have to travel right across country to that negates the whole bye thing. But before you play them, I mean, God, stop with the excuse making. I mean, it's just go.
You got to win the games, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. And if you don't win, they're never going to respect you, and they're never going to treat you right. And I don't think Oregon's even going to get treated right, because I think
why should they?
The rest of that conference is going, we don't like it. We don't like this. How do the Iowa fans feel? How do the Minnesota fans feel? Just wait. Like they've got Oregon in front of them. Nobody's talking about Washington yet. Nobody's talking about USC or UCLA, but Oregon, I think, is going to draw some ire here.
They're not the brands. They're not the brands in that conference. I mean, the brands have already been established. Hey, what story comes out? Colorado State and Utah State. They're suing the Mountain West, right? They don't want to pay that exit fee. What's the latest with that? What does that mean? And then ultimately, when we start talking more expansion, because the Pac-12 needs another team, what does that mean for like a school like UNLV?
Well, I think officials at UNLV will say, hey, they're committed to the Mountain West Conference, but I don't think anything's done. And we've learned in expansion, nothing's done until it's done. And so I'm looking at UNLV still as a possibility for the Pac-12. I think if the media numbers come back in the right way, and the Pac-12, their own lawsuit to get rid of the poaching penalties that were part of their contract ends up helping them, I think that you could see UNLV listening to the Pac-12. I also think Memphis and Tulane are out there if the potential media partners say, hey, we want those windows. We need to get, again, like Oregon and Washington and the 4 schools in the West, the media company is going to go, yeah, we like your Western footprint, but we'd love to have a couple of teams that could play at a different time of day, that now we've got a full slate of games for every weekend. And so I think all of this sort of points to the Pac-12 ultimately, this expansion move that they're going to make. I've kind of put a target, Puck. I want you to visualize this. The Pac-12 has been unable to come up with a date, like a drop dead date for the, when are they going to add teams? They won't do it, but I'm going to do it. On March Madness on that Thursday, when the first ball goes up in the morning on that March Madness.
So much fun.
Thursday. Yeah, it's great. When that ball's in the air, I kind of expect that the Pac-12 will have taken their bite. And I think that is the target, like the start of March Madness being kind of the target to say, we're going to add a school. And I do think the expansion piece will kind of come out in front of the media rights deal, because you're going to have to know, if you're a media partner, who's in this conference. So I think that move will get made, and then you'll hear media deal. But this lawsuit is great, because if you are the Pac-12, you're saying, look, you've already got a lawsuit with the Mountain West where you're saying the poaching penalties don't apply. We were under duress. We signed that contract. These penalties are violate antitrust laws. I mean, I think they've got some firm ground to stand on as it pertains to the poaching penalties, which would be about $55 or $60 million that the Mountain West is expecting to then turn and distribute to UNLV and others to get them to stay. So if you're the Pac-12, you're attacking that. I don't think they're talking settlement at this point, but if I'm the Mountain West, you might want to talk settlement on that, because you may not have money to give away. Now, Utah State and Colorado State have come out and said, hey, the exit fees, we don't think the exit fees should apply. And by the way, they're using some of the same language that the 10 departing schools in the Pac-12 use.
It's verbatim.
It's like, we never really gave notice.
Do they have a judge that's going to oversee this that is an alum of one of these schools?
Judge Gary Leiby has moved now. He is sitting in the church. No, he's...
Wouldn't that be awesome? I think I've come out of retirement.
But look, bottom line being that the Mountain West Conference is trying to glue together UNLV and the other members with the money that they expect to get from the Pac-12. So keep an eye on these lawsuits. If the Pac-12 and Utah State, Colorado State are successful, there's less for the Mountain West Conference to turn and promise to UNLV to stick around. And so I think it's an attack on the Mountain West. And these two entities are at each other's throats right now. They used to be friends. And eventually the dust will settle. But, Mountain West is, the proactive moves they're making, like offering Northern Illinois and UC Davis and other sports. I can't help but look at that and go, hey, is that a defensive move that in the event that they lose UNLV, they have enough members to operate?
All right. Did we cover it all? Do you need to clean out your notebook?
Well, one last thing. I just posted today on Boise State and Moneyball. Take a look at it at johncanzano.com because Boise State, their athletic department budget, as you know, it's like $50 million. The other 11 schools in the CFP, some of those schools spend as much on football as Boise State spends on all sports. It's the ultimate Moneyball game that Jeremiah Dickey, the AD at Boise State, is playing, but the numbers are astounding. And if you're a Washington State or Oregon State fan, keep in mind those schools their budgets in their athletic department are like $85 to $90 million, $92 million in that range. When you compare it to Ohio State, Tennessee, Oregon, even Arizona State, you can kind of see what you need to spend to win and make the playoff.
Unbelievable. Yeah, go check it out right now. Can I go through the top 10 real quick?
Do it.
So you have Boise State's at $50.6 million. ASU, I mean, they more than double them, $121 million. I'm surprised Oregon, $153.5 million.
Yeah, some of that is because their facilities, the way that they structured the debt on the facilities, because Phil Knight paid a lot of it. They don't have that recurring debt on their major facilities. Tennessee,
$154 million, Clemson, $158, Indiana, $166 million, Penn State, $181, Georgia, $200 million, Texas, almost $240, and Ohio State, number one at $251 million.
And it's who's not on the list too. Who didn't make the playoff is interesting because like Alabama, I think would be the number 3 school. They didn't make it, and they spent as much. They spent more than Georgia. And so it's interesting. I think Ohio State and Texas are 1-2 in spending in the fiscal year, but Ohio State spent $72 million on football. $72 million on football. Boise State spends $50 million on 19 sports. That shows you what the Broncos are up against. It is Moneyball. You have to have an Ashton Genty to get in that position. And look, I'm not saying Boise State's going to beat Penn State or SMU, whoever they play, but a lot of eyes on that game because if you can overcome that kind of disparity, look out.
John Canzano, he makes it looks like a turtleneck or that's a quarter zip look great. It's the holidays. Yeah, it's good. No, leave it. I love it.
Oh, you like it?
Yeah, it's a wonderful look. Enjoy. Have a wonderful holidays next week. I don't know what we're going to do next week. I'm not going to. Hey, do you want to come on Christmas Eve? We'll figure out something for next week where we record something, or I don't know what we'll do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for not having to do this on Christmas Eve.
You don't have to do it at all. We'll reconvene in a few
I love
weeks.
it. I love doing it. Come on.
Thanks, John.
All right, man.
There he is, John Canzano, every week with us talking all things college football. Big thanks to Zeke's Pizza for sponsoring that weekly segment. John Canzano. Again, follow him on X. Follow him on Blue Sky as well. John Canzano, BFT on X, on Blue Sky, John Canzano. Read all of his work at johncanzano.com. Full episode up on YouTube later when you're there. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also up on the audio platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts. And, of course, the John Canzano Show, always up at pucksports.com.